a service of CNC Worldwide.
CNC Podcasts are a service of CNC News and brought to you by the Greece Chamber of Commerce, providing more than 800 member companies with business solutions since 1984. A man who once ran a convenience store and pizza place in northeast Rochester has been indicted on 7 terrorism charges by a federal grand jury, and he may be the first American to be formally charged with trying to recruit for ISIS. U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder and U.S. Attorney William Hochul say Mofid Elfki was indicted on 3 counts of attempting to provide material support to ISIS, the Islamic State terror organization that's attempting to set up a caliphate in Syria and Iraq. He's also charged with attempted murder against current and former members of the U.S. military, 1 count of possessing silencer-equipped firearms in furtherance of a crime of violence, and 2 counts of receiving unregistered silencers. The 30-year-old Yemeni native was caught earlier this year in an FBI sting operation in a Walmart parking lot, allegedly buying what he thought were guns and silencers to be used in jihadi attacks in western New York. Authorities say he wanted to kill American servicemen who were returning from Iraq and Afghanistan, and also Shia Muslims living in the Rochester area. Elfki also tried to assist 3 people in traveling to Syria so they could fight with ISIS forces. An Ontario County grand jury will decide if NASCAR driver Tony Stewart should face any charges as a result of the accident that killed driver Kevin Ward, Jr. Ontario County District Attorney Mike Tantillo says he has reviewed the investigation turned over last week by the county sheriff's office, and it's appropriate for a grand jury to decide what action should be taken. He'll present the case in the near future. As DA, Tantillo could have dropped the case if he thought it was warranted. Ward was killed during a dirt track race August 9th at the Canandaigua Motorsports Park. Ward's car spun out after a sideswipe by Stewart's car. Ward then got out of his car and ran onto the track towards Stewart's car, which hit him. The Rochester City Council has voted to formally accept $4.2 million in state aid for the Inner Loop reconstruction project. That means the city now has the local and state support to qualify for federal highway money. Mayor Lovely Warren says the Inner Loop East project will reconnect city neighborhoods with downtown that have long been separated by the moat of the Inner Loop. It's expected to benefit businesses on either side of the current divide and boost the East End Entertainment District. The project will fill in the sunken Inner Loop Expressway from Monroe Avenue to Charlotte Street, replacing it with a new surface boulevard. The Greece Town Board has voted to rezone more than 12 acres of land behind the town garage off Ladder Road from single-family residential and public land to restricted business use. The town made the change in hopes the land can someday be sold to the private sector and developed commercially, although Greece officials say there's nobody seeking to buy it right now. Several residents spoke angrily about the proposal at a public hearing, including neighbors who say they were not directly informed about it. The town says it did put the required public hearing notice in the Greece Post. Voters in Pittsford have approved a referendum to borrow $6 million to fix problems with the town's athletic fields. The town has too many sports teams needing to use its fields and athletic facilities. The grass was suffering because it never got a chance to recover. There are also grading and drainage problems. The bond issue authorized by voters will pay to develop new fields at the town's Willard Road property and upgrade the fields and playground facilities at the town's other parks. Billionaire Tom Golisano has won his tax assessment case against the town of Mendon. Golisano went to court Monday seeking to have the assessment on his Mendon home lowered from $2.9 to $1.5 million. The judge issued a decision Tuesday, cutting the assessment to about $1.9 million. Golisano's lawyer told reporters you don't have to be a billionaire to challenge your assessment. He says there's a small claims-based appeal process you can start with. He says the key is persistence. Hundreds came to Temple Brith Kodesh in Brighton Tuesday morning to attend memorial services for Larry and Jane Glazer, who were lost at sea earlier this month when their plane fell into the Caribbean off the coast of Jamaica. Son Rick Glazer said they flew into the sunset together. Lieutenant Governor Bob Duffy and Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren were among the mourners. An outside study of RTS bus stops will be released Thursday at an afternoon workshop at the Rochester Central Library Auditorium, 4 to 7 p.m. The Regional Transit Service commissioned a study of roughly 3,400 bus stops around Rochester to see if they still fit the way people use the buses. Traffic patterns and needs change over the years, and RTS thinks some of the stops no longer make sense. Speaking of bus stops, there was quite a bit of confusion in downtown Rochester Tuesday night when people getting off work found that their bus stops had been moved off of Main Street to Chestnut. It's because Main Street is going to be milled and repaved, and RTS has moved the buses so that they temporarily exchange passengers on Chestnut instead of on Main. But lots of people, hundreds in fact, didn't know that. There was a lot of confusion before people were able to get themselves sorted out. Your next CNC podcast is whenever you click on one of these pages and catch one. We post updates as necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.